The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
And welcome! Once again, after a one episode absence due to my own medical issues, let's not talk about that. This is Wrestling Unwrapped, episode number 30, where tonight we will be talking about Atomic Championship Wrestling's and Rogue Women Warriors' Sleazy Christmas starring Joey Ryan. I am your host. My name is Patrick Ketza, and joining me, as always, Mr. Harry Broadhurst. Harry, happy Mother's Day.
Patrick, go screw yourself.
What? I mean, we only talk on the phone and chat. I don't know if you're a mom or not.
I'm going to go ahead and ignore that. I'm going to let you off nice. And make sure
you wipe your feet for the holiday?
Make sure you wipe your feet on the rug before you get mud throughout the house.
Is that my one for the holiday?
Maybe. We'll see how the rest of the show goes, and I'll let you know.
All right.
You're pushing your luck early, Ketza. In all sincerity, if you have the opportunity to listen to this, to all the mothers out there, specifically those who encourage their children's love of professional wrestling, by all means, more power to you ladies. It's an incredibly thankless job that you women don't get the credit you deserve for, so indeed, happy Mother's Day. Yeah, that's right. I went sentimental. Top that, jackass.
And then you immediately killed it by calling me a jackass. Anyway.
You deserved it. They don't.
Anyway, we're going from one holiday to another, essentially, as on this Mother's Day, because, yes, it actually is Mother's Day. It's actually Sunday, May 14th. And we're going back to Christmas, or at least Christmas time, December the 10th, as, well, I guess you could say Atomic Championship Wrestling needs to crown a women's champion. And they decided, well, someone deserved a nice early Christmas present. So, tonight ACW will have an 8-woman tournament. It's going to be 4 singles matches, and then the 4 winners will go into a 4 corners sudden death match, with the winner of that becoming the Rogue Dark Phase Women's Champion. So
I have an over-under on the amount of times you screw that up tonight at 3.
Define screw up.
At some point or another, I guarantee you there's going to be at least 2 or 3 times where you go to say Rogue Dark Phase Champion and you completely butcher it.
Would saying Rogue Women's Champion count?
That would be fine, and probably a lot
easier. Then take the under. But that's actually not all, as all titles are on the line. The Heavyweight Championship, the Tri-State Championship, the Cruiserweight Championship, and the Tag Team Champion. And, oh, by the way, we have to fit the special guest. We got to fit Joey Ryan in there somewhere. Wrestling's sleaziest man. The man who spends his entire career suplexing people with his dick and trying to legalize sleaze. God help me, why are we doing this on Mother's Day?
Because every Mother's Day needs a Mother's Day night. Please tell me you get that reference.
Oh, my God.
And now that we're absolutely terrible people, are you ready to get to the results?
Yeah, sure. Why the hell not? Because we got a lot to get through. There's 13 matches.
Which is something that I do want to talk about a little bit later on in the show. All right, let's get to it. Here we go. It is December 10th, 2016.
As we always do, here's Mr. Harry Broadhurst with the results from ACW and Rogue Women Warriors Sleazy Christmas.
Feels very anticlimactic now. As Patrick mentioned, it is December the 10th, 2016. We are in Stevens, Pennsylvania at the Stevens Hall Fire Company. It's an actual fire station. And, you know, I'll admit, at first when I saw the venue, I wasn't super impressed, but the more I watched the show, the more it grew on me. It's intimate, which I think is an experience you really only get in independent wrestling.
Yeah, that's a fair thing to say. It's only in indie wrestling can you have shows at places like a fire hall.
This is Atomic Championship Wrestling, ACW, Pennsylvania, Sleazy Christmas 2016. Our opening contest sees Pretty Fly defeat Jimmy Lion. There was a nickname there, and I'm drawing a blank on it. For Jimmy Lion, there's a nickname here that made me chuckle the first time I heard it. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Keep going.
After help from his manager, Adam Anthrax, leads to Sliced Bread number 2, to Sheer Nui, call it what you want to. The first of 4 women's qualifiers for the 4-way sudden death.
Real quick, are you talking about the Redneck King of the Jungle?
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. He was the Redneck King of the Jungle.
It made me laugh the first time I heard it. I chuckled. I yucked, as it were. All right, moving on. In the first of the 4 qualifiers to determine a rogue women's wrestling champion, because I almost screwed it up myself.
Ha!
Karma, what can they say? Nyla Rose pins Sea Bunny with the Beast Bomb at 3 minutes and 17 seconds. You'll notice a theme in regards to match times here. That's all I'm going to say. Jason Gotti and Scotty Jeffries go to a no contest for the tag team titles in a double countout with John Dahmer and Kanazawa at 6 minutes and 8 seconds. Qualifier number 2 sees Sally pin Jules Malone with Fading Roses. For those of you who don't know, it's Matt Striker's old Golden Roll finishing move, the knee-assisted overdrive, at 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Our guest a little bit later on this evening, Tate Hammer, Twisted Tate, loses to Breaux Keller by disqualification at 1 minute and 27 seconds, but there's a very, very significant reason for that. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Angie Skye pins, I ain't even going to try. Would you like to help me with this one?
Azael?
I was going to say Azael, so Azael sounds as good as what I was going to say. With the hard goodbye, unprettier at 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Rob Noxious retains the Tri-States title, defeating Malcolm King with a cross-body block roll-through with a rope assist at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Disc 2 starts with Lufisto tapping out Rebecca Payne in the final one of the qualifiers with a cross-arm breaker at 7 minutes and 21 seconds. It actually kind of started as a standing Fujiwara, and then she pulled it back into the cross-arm breaker. Payne, thank you. Payne wins a 4-way to become the new Cruiserweight champion, pinning Rob Lloyd with a moneymaker, double underhook pile driver, at 8 minutes and 9 seconds.
That was a package pile driver.
No, the package pile driver was in the post-match attack. The actual match saw it as a double underhook pile driver. But thanks for playing.
My apologies.
Rockin' Rebel wins a 3-way, pinning Bobby Kruger with the Rebelizer, brother, at 5 minutes and 26 seconds. Shatter retains the ACW heavyweight title, pinning CM Sereni. CM. You don't think.
That would be a hell of a fluke.
Well, yeah, especially given the fact that they're in, as we'll find out, the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It would be kind of odd for him to be Chicago-made, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, trust me, it's not.
With a second spine buster at 6 minutes and 1 second. Angie Skye wins a 4-way to become the first ever Rogue Darkface Women's Wrestling Champion, pinning Sally with a Blu-ray, a Death Valley driver into the turnbuckles, trademark Icarus, at 8 minutes and 12 seconds. And your main event of the evening, as long as this has taken me, the team of Breaux Keller and Joey Ryan defeat John Dahmer and Twisted Tate as Ryan pins Twisted Tate following Sweet Tooth Music by Breaux Keller at 11 minutes and 48 seconds. I heard you guffaw over there. I almost did myself while I was announcing it.
There you go. I just did that for you. Thank you, Harry.
It's what I do.
Before we get to the actual review, kind of have some housekeeping to do real quick.
Housekeeping?
You want me fluffed it up?
Okay, now that we're getting sued for copyright infringement, by all means, carry on.
Indeed. So, for more information, because we are a presentation of the W2M Network, for more information, including past episodes, and I swear to God, one of these days we're going to get back to written reviews. One of these days. Probably not this week, though. Harry knows why. Sorry, Harry, but you know why.
I can't breathe.
But also, if you want to listen to any past episodes of our wonderful show, including our Not Safe for Children Spring Stampede 2000 episode, be sure to check out W2Mnet.com.
So wait a minute, you're not free at all this week to get one of these done? I mean, I know the last 2 times has been kind of my fault. Well, the last one was kind of both of our faults, but the one before that was definitely my fault.
We'll talk off air.
All right, fair enough. In addition, tonight's episode of Wrestling Unwrapped is brought to you by Atomic Pro Wrestling. You can visit them online at atomicprowrestling.com for Atomic Championship Wrestling's official website. In addition, as always, tonight's episode of Wrestling Unwrapped is also brought to you by the Madhouse Toy Chest. Stores.ebay.com/Madhouse Toy Chest. By all means, if you're a fan of anything wrestling, and even if you have interests outside of wrestling, which I'm sure everybody does, you can find everything from DVDs, action figures, VHS tapes, magazines, posters, action figures, minifigures for stuff outside of the world of professional wrestling, DVDs and Blu-rays for movies outside of the world of professional wrestling, full-run television series. You can find all that stuff. He just got in a bunch of new wrestling DVDs, too, so look for those to be hitting the market soon if they haven't already. Mr. Ketso. By going to stores.ebay.com/Madhouse Toy Chest. Mention that you heard this advertisement here on Wrestling Unwrapped and receive a free gift with your purchase.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. So, now that that's all out of the way, are you ready? We got 13 matches to get through, so...
No, he said... Sorry. Course of habit.
Speaking of copyright infringement...
Yeah, we're getting sued before the night's over. It's cool.
If I swear to God, bro, didn't sue us, we're fine. Alrighty.
We're still going to figure out a way to get him to sue us one of these days, I guarantee you. All right.
Absolutely. Anyway, a darkness is falling on the most happiest time of the year. Somebody wants a young little punk to join the Underground. Not only is that darkness coming around, but Rogue needs a Darkface champion. What better way to do it than at the happiest time of the year? This is ACW and Rogue Women Warriors Sleazy, Chris Smith. And as my co-host mentioned, kicking things off, the redneck king of the jungle, Jimmy Lyon, who honestly to me looks like he could be a younger, skinnier Bruiser Brody, which I think was kind of the point, takes on Pretty Fly.
Okay, so we've mentioned before about crappy pets that we'll never cover on this show. I keep trying to get you to do an XPW show. Jimmy Lyon looks like the next evolution of Homeless Jimmy from XPW. I don't know if that is intentional or if that is accidental. Either way, it's freaking hilarious.
Good Lord. Look, anybody that comes out swinging a barbed wire baseball bat?
Yes, sir.
Is okay by me.
Because you don't want to be on the wrong. That's obviously because you don't want to be on the wrong side of anybody swinging a barbed wire baseball bat.
Exactly. Would you want to be on the business end of that?
I have been on the business end of one before. They suck.
How real was that barbed wire?
Real enough.
Remember, folks, it's all fake.
Huge. All
anyway,
right, let's get back to this here. Yeah,
I wasn't even
Jimmy
making
Lyon.
that one. Wow.
Jimmy Lyon takes on
Pretty Fly.
Pretty Fly with his manager
yes,
Adam Anthrax.
We should also mention, damn right, he came out to Pretty Fly for a white guy.
By the Offspring, absolutely. Because if you're going to do this gimmick...
The Offspring, whose guitarist is about to be a doctor.
Because if you're going to do this, you have to come out to the Offspring.
Yeah, I would say so. And to be fair, they go all over, and I mean, first match, and it's kind of clear that rules don't mean too much, but it's indie wrestling. But they do fight all over, in which you learn very, very quickly that, no, folks, this is actually a fire station.
Everything's made up and the rules don't matter.
That's wrestling in general.
It's turning into an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway on us.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean...
I can't really judge this match, though. I get the point of doing the all-around the arena brawl. I don't like it happening in the opening contest, but I get the point. And I understand why you have the finish go the way that it does as well, with the assists from Pretty Fly's manager Adam Anthrax leading directly into Sliced Bread number 2, Shira Nui. I'm sure between the two of us, we can think of at least a half a dozen other names for it.
Oh, I just go with only one.
I assume.
No, you already mentioned. Yeah, I was going to say you already mentioned that. That's why I didn't bring it up. Right.
It's most commonly known in the States as Sliced Bread number 2, Brian Kendrick's finisher. Known in Japan as the Shira Nui for Naomichi Marufuji.
You could also say that it's a corner-assisted Salida del Sol.
For Samurai del Sol. Kalisto. Same difference.
Thank you.
He did it when he was Samurai del Sol as well. You should know he was at AAW. Anyway, I can't be too cruel to this match because of the fact that it only ran about 3 minutes and 52 seconds. That being said, not an ideal choice for an opener, if only because I think an opening contest is a match that you want to keep in the ring as well as one that you want to keep the crowd engaged in. They kept the crowd engaged, but them brawling all around the ringside area set a tone for the rest of the evening that honestly didn't really happen. With the exception of maybe one or two other matches, there was very limited crowd brawling throughout the rest of the night.
Yeah, I can kind of understand because it's a great way. The crowd was pretty into the show after that for most of the rest of the night. But, yeah, I can see where you would think that it would set a standard that, you can't keep up with. I almost feel like, hey, put the next match first.
Speaking of our next match, shall we continue?
Yes, let's.
All right, it is the debut in Atomic Championship Wrestling of Sea Bunny, recently making her rise into the independent women's professional wrestling ranks. Taking on the native beast, not Rose. I don't care. It was funny to me. That's all that matters.
Boo.
Boo all you want to. I'm not going to change the joke.
See if I send you any DVDs again.
Hey, I have the Rise DVD sitting over there to review it a time later down the road.
I know.
And we promise we will eventually get to Pro Wrestling Revolver.
Oh yeah, we should. And yes, I had very, very serious medical issues. I'm not kidding at all.
Let's go ahead and talk about Nyla and Sea Bunny here. Let's not put personal details out there into the public.
I know.
By which I mean, go ahead and start talking.
Okay, fair enough. This is kind of what I expected. I mean, Nyla is a beast. And quite frankly, I think the crowd was too scared to boo her because, quite frankly, I was too scared and I was only watching her on my TV.
I don't necessarily know that she's a heel to begin with, though. I think she's kind of one of those tweeners. So I don't know if I had a chance to tell you this year. I know how you said you got an interview lined up for us a little bit later on in the show.
Yes.
I actually had the opportunity to talk to the ACW play-by-play announcer, James Buster Frazier. And in the
wait. Is that done on purpose?
James Buster Frazier?
Yes. Is that done purposely?
Oh, you know what? I'm just now putting two and two together. That has to be on purpose.
Okay. There's no way that he did that without it being a mention of James Buster Douglas.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm just now putting two and two together there. It's been a long day. What do you want from me? Hold on, I'm pulling it up here because I actually have some information on Nyla that I did not know here. Let's see what we can find.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk about the match for a few moments while I look for the information here.
I mean, for the most part, Nyla just dominates Bunny. And this is not a very long match, but you can kind of understand why, because everyone who wins is wrestling twice. Nyla ends up winning it in very, very dominating fashion. And the thing about it is, I look at Sea Bunny and I kind of just see, pardon the pun, kind of a little bit of a skinnier Casey Spinelli, who, I know and am friends with, and I just look at Sea Bunny and I see almost the exact same thing.
All right.
So
Nyla, from D.C., veteran of 2 years, trained in Taekwondo and Judo. And then the interesting little nugget that he laid in this part of the conversation is she began her career as a ring announcer.
wow.
Also of note here is she is currently in Japan with the Stardom promotion. So good for her.
For those that don't know, Stardom is, I think, now the biggest women's promotion in Japan. As a matter of fact, I can say with 100% certainty, Jessica Havoc and Tessa Blanchard just wrestled Hiroyo Matsumoto, and her partner's name escapes me at a Stardom show yesterday.
I think one of the things that I pointed out to him, and He actually corrected me when I pointed this out to him. I said, she kind of reminds me of Tamina Snuka. And then his response to that was basically the Japanese bully in the model of Bull Nakano. And then I do get the Nakano reference. I did not think of Bull Nakano when I originally watched it, but as soon as he mentioned that, I definitely put two and two together. It's a perfect comparison.
Yeah, I would. That's one of those I would not have thought to think of Bull Nakano, but yeah, I absolutely agree. Totally see that. That's not a bad comparison either.
As you mentioned, not much to this match. It's a sit-out powerbomb finish in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. You will notice a recurring theme for most of the women's matches is that they don't go long. LuFisto and Rebecca's the longest at just a shade over 7. I would say this is probably the worst of the 4, but at the same time it's also the shortest, so, I mean, kind of to be expected.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with
short.
Nothing to do with the two women in question. It has everything to do with the fact that this show had 13 matches, therefore there's only so much time certain matches can get without the show running 4 hours.
And we don't know that it did or didn't.
Well, on DVD, Disc 1 is an hour 14:36. Disc 2 is an hour 31:10. Yes, I actually did the math as I was watching.
That's almost 3 hours right there.
It is. It is 2 hours, 45 minutes, and 46 seconds if we're being specific.
So this actually could have been a 4-hour show. We'll get to the reasons for things like that a little bit later. Why don't we get to another kind of short match, but short for, well, actually kind of the same reason, if you think about it. There's going to be a very much recurring theme on this night. So our next contest is for the ACW Tag Team Championship. It is John Dahmer and Kanazawa, the champions, taking on Old School of Jason Gotti and Scotty Jeffries. And this one doesn't go very long and has an even goofy, or it has an extremely goofy finish, in that they kind of just decide to stop fighting.
You know how Kevin and Sammy get the fight forever chance?
Please stop fighting?
Fight for never.
Yeah, you're stretching with that one.
Yeah, I'll take it. Match goes to a double count out when all 4 of them mutually decide that, well, frankly, the fans in attendance can go suck an egg.
I cannot believe, I really cannot believe that Ricky Morton was wrestling for a championship in this match.
Scotty Jeffries.
Who?
Scotty Jeffries Morton.
Oh, that wasn't Ricky Morton?
That was not Ricky Morton. Although I can understand why you would think that. They have a very similar body structure.
In all ways. Hair included.
Yes, long and bleached blonde. Anywho, to the match
and
itself.
Mullet. Yeah, that's the match itself.
Okay, this is about where I start being mean.
I can't be held responsible. If our guest wants to kill you later on, that's your fault. That's his doing and your fault.
With all due respect here, having a team decide that they no longer wish to challenge for the tag titles, in my opinion, kind of spits on the tag belts and makes them seem inferior. I don't like it. I don't like it when major promotions pull that stunt. I don't like it when independent promotions pull that stunt. I don't like it when backyard promotions pull that stunt. Championship belts are championship belts for a reason. They are meant to be challenged for. They are meant to be defended. They are meant to be used. They are not there just to be used as a storyline prop. Now, I understand a little bit later on it would become crystal clear why this happened. But if you were going to do that, then why not just have them go in a sprint match and have this thing finished super quick?
Because they just decide, well, there's a difference between having a finish and deciding that I don't want to fight you anymore. There's still a difference there.
Yeah,
and I'm not going one side or another, but and I totally understand what you're saying, and I wasn't too fond of it either, although like you mentioned, well, you already mentioned it with you mentioned half of it. With the fact that it becomes crystal clear later on, but yeah, I wasn't too keen on that myself either.
Well, and we specifically talked about it when I ran down the results, and you'll notice that one name is familiar to both matches, and that would be John Dahmer. He's involved in the tag title match here. He teams with Twisted Tate in the main event.
Yeah.
Shall we move on before I say anything else that may or may not get me in trouble with our guest?
Let's hope he's not listening right now.
All right, go ahead.
Let's indeed move on to our second of the Fatal 4-Way Sudden Death title match qualifiers, the second Rogue Women Warriors. Oh, boy.
That's one.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't talking about the title. You said the title.
No escaping on semantics. That's one. Moving on.
You said title. You said Rogue Dark Phase Women's Championship. You did not mention anything about Rogue Women Warriors. Anyway, Sally versus the Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Question.
What?
Am I the only one who got a Nightmare Before Christmas vibe from Sally?
I got Sister Abigail.
I didn't. I thought Nightmare Before Christmas, but that might have a lot to do with who I've been around for the last 2.5. Never mind.
Anyway, but now that you mention it, yeah, I totally see that, and that probably is what it is. As a matter of fact, isn't the character's name in Nightmare Before Christmas?
100% it is, and that's the reason I made the connection, plus with the look as well. I think it's almost certainly themed that way intentionally. I actually want to talk about her opponent here. I want to talk about Jules Malone.
Someone who you apparently weren't too familiar with, it seemed.
I was not. I mean, I've seen her before, like on flyers and stuff, but I've never actually seen her wrestle. Once again, I have to give credit to the man who I had the opportunity to speak to, James Buster Frazier here. He had a great line in regards to Jules Malone. Cute as a button, but sharp as a needle. 100% accurate, too. And in my opinion, of the 4 qualifying matches, this was probably the best. I really enjoyed this match.
And you kind of have a surprise here with who actually wins it, because between the two, I would say I would regard Jules Malone as kind of being, you know, the more known person. You could say the bigger name between the two, and you would almost kind of think that she, you know, you would move the bigger name into the actual title match itself. But no, Sally ends up picking up the victory to move on, and will face Nyla Rose and 2 others in the title match later on in the night. A little bit of a surprise to me. I'm not knocking it, as you know, it would come to pass later on, and we'll kind of get to that where she ends up having title aspirations in her future anyway.
Unfortunately, I don't think we see Jules Malone in the ACW again, at least based on the results that I've seen since. I haven't seen her name mentioned. I find that a little bit disappointing. I'd like to see more.
Look up WSU. not just
Dueling?
ECW.
Dueling noted. I'll have to look into this. Agree or disagree?
You have to start getting DVDs of shows past 2013.
Oh, hush you. Moving on. Real quick, agree or disagree with my assessment about this being the best of the four ways, the best of the four qualifiers? Putting your own personal bias towards Mephisto aside.
All right. How many comments are you going to make?
That's the only one, I promise.
Liar. We still have to cover her match.
And I've stated my opinion, and now I'm going to move on. Putting your bias aside, best of the four qualifiers, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All I was looking for was an honest answer. We move on. Twisted Tate, God dang it. Try this. Twisted Tate takes on Breaux Keller. The match goes 1 minute and 27 seconds due to a disqualification. Interference courtesy of John Dahmer and Kanazawa. I just like saying Kanazawa. Eventually, Breaux Keller
is the WCW guy? Who's the WCW guy?
Who's the what now?
Who is the WCW guy? He had a similar sounding Kurosawa.
Yeah, 1996 called it once its jobber back. Anyway.
Kurosawa as Ichiban.
Moving on.
Hey, he sucked.
Breaux Keller is eventually saved by our special guest for the evening, the man making you porn famous, Joey Ryan.
Oh, no, okay, yeah, the man making you porn famous.
Well played. Well played. Legit pop for that. Well done. All right. It sets up our tag team main event for a little bit later on in the evening. No real reason to get into this match. It's 1 minute and 27 seconds. What can you do?
It's literally you started the match just so you could end the match on disqualification and set up a match later in the night. However, it does set up our now main event, which will be Twisted Tate and John Dahmer versus Joey Ryan and Breaux Keller.
Well, we don't know that it's Dahmer. Ryan said that he could pick one of those two.
Fair enough. It would end up being John Dahmer in the case of one of these four is not like the others.
Well, I guess the way to phrase that is we don't know that it's John Dahmer. I mean, we know that it's John Dahmer, but you're not supposed to. All right, moving on.
Fair enough.
Angie Skye defeats Azrael, and am I the only one who had really, really bad flashbacks to Femme Fatale and Anna Manushka?
Oh, thank you so very much for bringing that up.
Am I wrong?
I felt bad for Angie.
But seriously, am I wrong?
No.
Yikes.
I felt bad for Angie Skye. I like Angie Skye. I don't know her. I'm not friends with her or anything, but I like Angie Skye. I have liked what I've seen from her. I felt bad. 'Cause, yeesh. This was not good.
No, it was not.
But the thing is, you can't really, you can't put all of the blame on Angie. You know, you can only do what she can do. And you can see that she does a much better job in the match because she wins this, and you'll see later on. She does a much better job in the Fatal 4-Way where she has much better opponents.
I don't believe Azrael is with the company anymore, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, because
Yikes.
Did Angie Skye pull an Awesome Kong here? I was waiting for you to get that, but I think she did. She wins the match and gets out. High-fives a couple fans and gets the hell out.
Well, as I said, I really don't think she wanted any part of this any longer than she had to. Let's just say that it was rough, it was clunky, it was Yikes.
Boy, I think our big finish is going to be kind of easy later tonight.
I don't know. There's a couple of challenges for it, but we'll talk.
Fair enough.
All right, let's carry on. Our very next match is for the Tri-States title as Rob Noxious. Think about that for a second. Let it sink in. Rob Noxious.
You should change that name, or you should change your name to that.
Takes on Malcolm King for the Tri-States title. Bite me. So I get the story in the match. I get the story. It's that it's one of Noxious's students coming after his title, seeing if he's able to take the crown. Noxious is a longtime veteran of the Northeast independent wrestling scene. I've actually seen a little bit of Rob Noxious before. This is the worst I've seen him look. And I'm not going to put the blame on Rob here.
The only good thing I could really find on Malcolm King was his shirt.
This shirt did make me laugh. I mean, it's racist as hell, but it made me laugh.
It's absolutely racist, which is why I'm not even sure we can really mention it, even though there's no actual racist terms on it, but I really don't want to get into any more trouble after our Spring Stampede episode.
Oh, we can and we will. No? Okay.
No.
Fine. Yet another person no longer with the company in Malcolm King. You do the math.
Yes, and mind you, we're, 5 months
4
removed.
months? Yeah, 4 or 5 months removed? Yeah. The finish is blown, but I think that has more of a positioning thing than anything there is. The finish was cool in theory.
Is this the old saying, $1 million idea, 10-cent execution?
That would definitely be accurate here. The finish is a cool idea in theory. It is a cross-body block by Malcolm King with Rob seated in the chair. Rob rolls through into the cradle for the 3 count at the 5.5-minute mark. Unfortunately, Malcolm sets the chair up too close to the ropes, and Rob damn near goes through the ropes before using said ropes for the pinfall to retain the Tri-States title.
So technically he cheated to win.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of us wanted to see Malcolm as champion anyway. Plus, he likes soup, but, well,
Look, we're talking about Malcolm King, not Jerry Jarrett. Stop it.
That is our first Bruce Pritchard podcast reference of the evening. I'm proud of us. We made it almost an hour. All right, Disc 2, which, by the way,
yes, because we texted each other about this.
DISK? What?
Gotta be Angie.
Huh?
That's number 2.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
I said you have to be edgy and cool. Okay, maybe not. It's something that I did notice, yes, DISK, but it's a very small thing. A very small thing.
Oh no, it's definitely a plucking hairs thing in regards to things to be concerned about. But it threw me. Not that I'm necessarily against it, because I think it might be actually a Canadian thing. Because I believe the Femme Fatale discs are the same way, if I'm not mistaken. I think those are DISK as well.
I'd have to look.
And it might be a production thing there, because I noticed the production with the way that they have it is each match is its own individual chapter, so it's possible that it might have been their production company that did it, not anything to do with anything with the company itself. All right, let's move on, shall we?
Sure.
The Crimson Queen, Rebecca Payne, takes on the Wounded Owl. What? Okay, you're the Lufisto mark here.
Okay, what's your point?
Wounded owl, care to explain? Because I have no idea what that means.
Well, that's not what it was. Actually, that's only about 1/3 of her name. I'm trying to think. She's the Wounded Owl, the One-Woman Army, the One-Woman Revolution. Originally...
Okay, One-Woman Army makes sense. And actually, given the fact that she was associated with IWS for as long as she was, makes even more sense when you consider they had the one-man war arsenal up there. Carry on.
Originally, she was the Wounded Owl Ronin, which follow Japanese history, animes, things like that? No? Okay. A Ronin is someone who's lost their mentor. Do you know the possible mentor that she would have lost?
The first name that comes to mind is Eddie.
No.
Then I don't.
You're taking it way too seriously.
Oh, Peekaboo.
Thank you. I don't know where the Wounded Owl comes in. I don't. But
okay, fair enough.
Here's my question. Are you going to knock her for it? Are you going to say it to her face? No, you're not. Move on. Because, quite frankly, she could probably hook both of our nostrils with her own pinky toes and beat us with, well, and kill both of us with her pinky. So I don't want to piss her off. So carry on.
All right, let's move on. So
by the way, you failed to mention Rebecca Payne's manager.
Oh, Gillette.
Yes.
Okay.
Want to know my thinking of why her name's Gillette?
There's a razor joke there somewhere.
Because she's the best a man can get.
That's awful.
The best I could come up with. I'm not even sure that I'm joking. That might actually be it.
No, I'm not even sure that you're joking either, which makes it all the worse. All right, moving on. I think I mentioned this to you when we were talking about the show via text. I'm vaguely familiar with Rebecca Payne doing an IWA Mid-South Queen of the Deathmatch tournament, so I understand the Crimson Queen gimmick. It's a blood gimmick. She's a deathmatch worker. I know your opinion on death matches. I get it. We're not going to have that conversation. Different talk for a different day. But Lufisto's also somebody who made her reputation in death matches as well, so it would make sense that these two would know each other, and they do. They faced it in the tournament that I mentioned. This particular match sees Lufisto advance to the final for the Rogue Women's Warriors Darkface Championship, tapping Rebecca Payne with a cross-arm breaker at 7:21. Start to finish, I enjoyed Sally and Jules Malone more. That being said, the strike exchanges in this match were a lot better. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Lufisto is a very strong proponent of what has become known as strong style, the more realistic-looking striking, exchanging, that kind of thing, than people like Sally, who is a Lufisto trainee, and Jules Malone, who are more of a traditional American independent style.
You could also look at the fact that I think out of all four matches, these two might have more experience than all the other 6 involved in this tournament combined.
Well, to put this into some kind of perspective, the deathmatch tournament that I am referring to, the Queen of the Death Matches from Mid-South, was all the way back in like 2009, so that's at least 8 years.
That'd be 8 years each.
For Rebecca.
If I'm not mistaken, and since you want to call me the Lufisto Mark, yes, I do know this. If I'm not mistaken, next month makes 20 years for Lufisto. So she may actually have more than everybody else not in this match combined herself.
Actually, she might have more than everybody else, including the other person in this match combined. Regardless. Yeah, Lufisto advances with a cross-arm breaker, tapping Rebecca Payne at 7 minutes and 21 seconds. Like I said, I enjoyed the strike exchange between the two women there. The finish obviously makes sense. You wanted to have the experienced veteran in the main event, so Lufisto advancing makes sense as well. And thus, we move on. All right, I know you have a gripe about this next match, so I'm going to go ahead and let you start.
Well, for one, it's for a vacant championship. But that's not the gripe.
A champion that was stripped due to failure to appear, which I don't dislike, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You want to be the champion. You want to carry a part of the company on your back. Be there.
Look, I understand that sometimes life gets in the way, and I appreciate that more than most because I've had it happen to me where things have happened, situations have come up where I've had to miss shows. That being said, I'm not a wrestler. People weren't paying to see me. If you are a champion for a promotion, people are buying their ticket expecting to see you. So it makes sense that if you fail to appear as a champion, you will be stripped of your title. I have no issues with this at all. It is a four-way for the vacant Cruiserweight Championship as Brian Kiesel, Payne, Rob Lloyd, and the debuting Chris Doyle all battle for said Cruiserweight title.
Which, by the way, Johnny Vicious being the one who was stripped of the belt for failure to appear.
And I don't think he's been seen in HCW since. Give me one quick second, and I'll check the results, and I'll let you know. Carry on, Ryan Wilson.
Have fun on Cage Match.
I'm actually on AtomicProWrestling.com.
Oh, very good. I mean, to be fair, this match I didn't think was really that bad. Maybe not worthy of being called a cruiserweight match, but not a bad match. All four guys were worked in there, at various points, and to my knowledge, I don't really think that there was ever a real time where there was kind of what a lot of people associate as being the WWE's style of booking 3- and 4-person matches, being 2 people fight in the ring and 2 people essentially rest outside. We'll see that one later on. But, and if there was, it was actually a relatively short time. And yes, in the end, Payne, Hayne, no, we're not saying Kane or messing up saying Kane, it's Payne, becomes the new Cruiserweight champion, a belt he still currently has to this day, despite the fact that I may have to ask our guest if there's a weight limit to the Cruiserweight belt, because if there is, there's no way in hell that Hayne's under it.
Yeah, they when they did the ring introduction for him, I think they claimed 215. No, not at all. Less than 0% chance.
He wouldn't have made it under WCW's cruiserweight.
Well, that was 225.
Yes. And WWE's is 205.
My guess, and this is me being honest, is I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 250.
Yeah, that would be my best guess. I jokingly said, did I say 265 or did I say 295?
You sent me a text that said 295, and I chose to ignore you. Here's my question. Maybe it's more of a TNA X Division style thing where it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. I feel dirty having said that.
Gonna let that one go. That's your one from me. Now, to be fair, jokes about weight aside, I really didn't think this was that bad of a match. I thought all four guys actually did look very well. It may have actually come off as one of the better, if not so far the best match of the night. To this point, this is the 8th match, I believe, of the show. So ninth. Thank you. 9th match of the show. So you're starting to kind of see a point where it's kind of like going to a concert. The ones that you don't really like or the songs that are kind of new and the fans don't like so much, get them out of the way early. Give them a chance to build on fans. Get the ones that you know, the ones that you like, put them on later. The more experienced, the better ones. Put that on later. That's kind of what we're getting here, it seems like.
Well, Rob Lloyd is still involved in the Cruiserweight division. Brian Kiesel actually challenges Rob Noxious for the Tri-States title this Saturday night at Sweet 17. I did not see anything for Chris Doyle. That is unfortunate because I actually really enjoyed his work in this match. As the only real heel in this match, I thought he held up his end of the match very well. And for making a debut in the company, he did not seem like he was out of place at all throughout the course of this contest.
Alrighty. So our next contest, a three-way match. It is Bobby Kruger versus Judas Gray. I can't believe I'm about to say these next two words. Versus the Rockin' Rebel.
Yes, you heard him correctly, folks. It is 2016, and Rebel is still wrestling.
Hell, it's 2017, and Rebel's still wrestling. Because if I'm not mistaken, he's wrestling at their next show.
If you give me one quick second here, I will answer that question for you. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on this three-way while I look that up.
I'm about 90% certain that Rebel is on Sweet 17 as well.
He is, but I'm looking to find out where.
Okay. In terms of this... Okay. In terms of this match, this felt like get Rockin' Rebel on the show, and let's have some fun. There wasn't anything major. There wasn't there was no earth-shattering dealings going on here. It was just, let's have Rockin' Rebel go out, have a good time, and have him pick up the win. That's how it felt to me.
Oh, no, 100% agreed. Rebel is one of those guys that whether you enjoy his ring work or you don't enjoy his ring work, you come to see him talk.
And talk he did.
Hailing straight from Judas Gray's wife's bedroom. It may have been his mother and his wife. The old Rockin' Rebel double. Anyways, Rebel has never been known as being one of those great in-ring guys, but to use an old line in regards to the world of professional wrestling, he has the ability to talk people into the building.
And, I mean, he's been doing it, God, how long has he been going now? He wrestled in ECW, so...
Had the chance to talk to James about this as well. Rockin' Rebel has been wrestling now for 29 years. I was 3. I
wasn't born yet.
Damn youngins.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, not really a whole lot to say. Judas Gray breaks away from Rebel's army and is involved in this match here. Bobby Kruger's the one who eats the pinfall, though, after the Rebelizer brother.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
No, you're not. Screw him.
Yes, I am.
Screw him with a rusty pitchfork.
I like Rockin' Rebel.
That's not who I was referring to, and you know that. Let's move on. Heavyweight title time.
I know, but I said I'm leaving that one alone. I like Rockin' Rebel. Can we move on?
We are. Heavyweight title time, as I've said for the third time now. Shattered defends against CM Sereni. Never seen CM Sereni before. Never seen Shatter before. I don't know how to say this nicely, so I'm going to try to phrase this as nicely as I can. Shatter looks like one of those guys that independent wrestling is built around. The guy out there living his dream on weekends, getting the opportunity to get into the ring and do something that he enjoys. Does that make sense?
The thoughts and opinions of Harry Broad. No, okay. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
Whereas, and I say this with all due respect to Shatter, CM Sereni looks like a guy who you would look at on a wrestling flyer and go, yeah, that's a wrestler.
Real quick, the CM part, pure fluke.
Yeah, it's like Chris Maxim or something like that, I believe.
Yeah, so my guess is his actual initials. He may have played up on that, but I think it's his actual initials. So.
Well, he does bear a certain resemblance. A little bit.
A little bigger. Anyway.
We're going back to the match itself here. Shatter picks up the win with a second spine buster. I don't think that was the finish, but I think Sereni got hurt.
I was wondering about that because, and to be fair, Shatter's popular. So the fans were behind him. So, yeah, not a great wrestler, and as far as I know, he actually wouldn't hold the title much longer. I think he would lose it in March. And, I mean, like I said, he's popular as hell. Looks like he could throw just about anybody he damn well pleases. Because Shatter looks to be a strong mother you-know-what. So, a big guy, maybe not the world's greatest in the ring, but I was shocked at how over he was. I was shocked at how popular he was with the fans.
Clearly one of those guys who the fans definitely get behind. And you have that at most, independent promotions, too. I mean, we have a guy at our independent promotion, at Real Action Pro Wrestling, the one that I do the announcing for, named Spike, who, when he first came into the company, was basically just there, just one of those guys who was there. He was working the occasional matches. He would help with the ring crew. He would do that kind of stuff. Then all of a sudden, his character got super popular, and now I would make the argument that he's one of, if not the most popular guy on our roster. CM Sereni, by the way, is 6'4", 268 pounds. So yeah, quite a bit bigger than that Chicago guy.
Not anymore, that Milwaukee guy.
Well, yeah. The MMA fighter, as it were.
The guy who only shows up in Chicago if it makes him money.
Did you have a bad experience with him at C2E2?
No, I didn't have any experience with him at C2E2. I couldn't afford it.
Yikes. All right. Shatter retains off of the second spine buster, and then post-match, Sereni goes for the sucker, and Shatter lays him out again. Okay?
We should mention, when my co-host here says sucker, he means sucker punch, not actual sucker that's in the next match. Excuse me, that's in the main event.
No, he goes to blindside attack him. I think Sereni offers a handshake and then a hug, and then it looks like he's about to try to lay out Shatter, but Shatter ends up laying out Sereni, therefore effectively ending any and all claim that Sereni has to the heavyweight title, as the announcers talked about throughout the course of the match. And real quick, before we go any further, because I haven't had a chance to do so yet, God dang it, stupid phone. My battery's low, so I have to be on the charger. Unfortunately, that gives me a limited amount of space to work with. All right. First of all, props to James Buster Frazier. Thought he did a really good job, was very entertaining. I have to be honest, I did not care for the color commentator. In my opinion, he was way too bland. Do you have any thoughts on the commentary before we move on?
I'll put it this way. He was still, I would much rather have Bland. He still wasn't the worst commentator that we've dealt with.
I feel like the worst commentators we've dealt with last name is Madden.
Second.
Oh, yes. Well, there's that one guy from the Pro Wrestling Revolver show, too.
Yes. The one that even the owner of the company hated.
Yikes. All right, let's move on. Four-way. Our second four-way of the evening, once again scheduled for one fall, is for the vacant...
One fall?
Thank you. For the vacant Rogue Dark Face Championship.
Well, why is it vacant?
Because the
following contest is to crown the first ever Rogue Dark Face Women's Champion. Ha, screw you, I got it right.
That's because you had a chance to hear me say it and pause, and then you said it. You had an unfair advantage. Whatever, moving on. We're already running late. Let's continue, shall we?
And it's Nyla Rose versus Sally versus Angie Skye versus Lufisto. Remember how I talked about the previous four-way match kind of I liked because it didn't have the WWE style of booking? Yeah, this one kind of does. Why was it a fatal four-way?
Because there were 4 qualifying matches that had 4 different winners. Duh.
And why even have that? It wasn't needed.
You want to know the honest answer to that? Because there were already 13 damn matches on the show. Adding 2 more would have been massive amounts of overkill.
I'm talking about taking matches out.
I'm afraid I don't follow.
Nyla Rose and Lufisto essentially take each other out of the match for like half of it, for almost the entire second half.
I think that's by design in order to set up Angie Skye and Sally, which I imagine was supposed to be the women's title match at the show in March until Angie Skye missed the booking.
Maybe because I found it weird. I found it really weird that Nyla Rose and Lufisto essentially take each other out, and the entire second half of the match is only Angie Skye and Sally. And you're right, that absolutely could have been by design, but it just felt weird. Angie Skye and Sally put up a hell of a match, but to me, excuse me, to me this wasn't a Four Corners match. It was one-on-one.
I mean, it turned into a one-on-one match, yeah, but I think that was done to lay the seeds for Lufisto and Nyla as well as to set up Angie Skye and Sally. I have no issues with it here. It made sense to me in order to set this up here because, let's be honest, if those 2 women would have stayed at ringside, do you think people would have been bought cleanly into Angie Skye winning the title here as, say, somebody like a Nyla Rose?
No. Well,
or the much more experienced Lufisto?
I figured she would have been the favorite going in. To the people there, quiet.
I would argue that the favorite to the people in attendance would have been Nyla Rose. She was in the shortest qualifying match.
The first match.
And she was in the first qualifying match, absolutely. I mean, if we're looking at this from a strictly kayfabe perspective, she has all of the advantages going into this contest. She was in the first qualifier. She was in the shortest qualifier. She's the biggest athlete in the match.
Trying to see. For those wondering, the order of it is Nyla Rose, then Sally, then Angie Skye, then Lufisto. Lufisto having the shortest wait at 3 matches between her match and this match.
3 matches and a combined total of, in ring anyway, of about 20 minutes, so probably real time of closer to about 40.
Yeah, Lucy had 4, or rather, Lucy had 3, Angie had 5, Sally had 7, Nyla had 9. So Nyla probably would have had close to 2 hours.
Give or take, yes, absolutely.
That's why I said probably. I mean, great that, it wasn't a goofy or dirty finish or anything like that. I very much appreciate the fact that they had it end clean as a whistle and had the, I don't want to say the less popular, but I would say the less likely popular wrestler, because Angie Skye's over with this crowd. So, fair play. I think, she would have maybe had been one of the less expected ones to win. Came as a surprise to me that she ended up picking up the win, especially when it got down to essentially one-on-one. You would think that Sally probably would have cheated to win. Never happened.
Yeah, a little surprised they didn't go with the heel champion to start the promotion, but honestly, I'm okay with it. I think the intent was there in regard to setting up Angie Skye and Sally, and I would imagine that the plan was probably to do Angie Skye and Sally for the title in March, and that would go on to explain why Sally would end up winning the 3-way at the show in March in order to win the women's title.
Very well could have.
But yeah.
I think having Angie, drop it and everything. I think we're probably going to have to bring that up with our guest a little later.
Yeah, I would imagine it's something that you definitely want to plan on bringing up in order to explain to people why she wins the title and then never ever gets around to defending it. And I mean, we kind of talked about the same situation a little bit earlier with Johnny Vicious not being there to defend the Cruiserweight title.
Yes, and it very well could have been the exact same thing. So, we'll find out when we talk to Twisted Tate later on. Speaking of him, though.
Yeah, we got one more match to get to until we bring in our guest, so let's go ahead and get to it, shall we?
Indeed. So it is main event time, match number 13 on the night. It is Breaux Keller and Joey Ryan facing off against the aforementioned Twisted Tate and John Dahmer. Not Kanazawa. Ichiban.
Gets in height.
I didn't sneeze.
The views and opinions of Harry Broadhurst do not necessarily reflect those of anyone at the W2M Network, Patrick Ketza, or our sponsor, Jason Kunkel. Moving on.
But indeed, it is the main event. So part of the reason why the previous 2 matches that kind of had goofy finishes was partially to set this up. I'm okay with that now. Now that we know why it happened. Well, okay. Kind of deciding to drop everything halfway through during a tag title match, maybe a little bit questionable. But you now can see that the whole thing was to build up to our main event, and this is kind of a student versus teacher tag match, plus get the special guest in there for the main event, and it's kind of a little bit seemingly thrown together, but you kind of see also where everything fits in. And this is a case where one of these 4 wrestlers is not like the others.
Yes.
And of course he ends up picking up the win. Well, actually, no, he doesn't. Kind of.
Well, he gets the move that leads directly to the win.
He hits the finisher.
Yes, he hits Sweet Tooth Music. Ryan is, of course, known for his super kick. And traditionally the lollipop assist on it, which is, let's be honest, Joey Ryan is the most disgusting man in professional wrestling.
No, he's not. He's the sleaziest man in professional wrestling.
I believe he's bringing Sleazy back. At least that's how it was described in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's still on that bringing Sleazy back train, but even if he isn't, he still is. All the same.
Won't lie. Real quick. Sidebar. I absolutely tried to get his blow pop at the Wrestle Circus versus Revolver show in Orlando.
I am so not touching that. Nope.
A lot of people had no problems touching it.
I am not. I'm going to give you a pass on this one, and I'm just going to move on. All right. Interesting that you mentioned student versus teacher here, because I would imagine there's probably two different levels of student versus teacher here. Keller trained under Twisted Tate, but I would imagine he's probably done some training under John Dahmer as well. John Dahmer, most professional wrestling fans, most independent professional wrestling fans will know as the man behind the CZW training school. Produced such names as Adam Cole, Drew Gulak, Kyle O'Reilly. Actually, Kyle O'Reilly may have been Davey Richards. Who was... I'm drawing a blank on the name here. There was one other person that came up with Kyle O'Reilly on Adam Cole, and I can't remember his name. It wasn't Gulak. It was his former tag team partner.
His brother Gulak?
No, not Rory. Tyler Veritas.
Oh.
So this is a school that's produced many names that have gone on to become something in the world of independent professional wrestling, and Dahmer's always been the head trainer. Dahmer's also always been considered something of a gatekeeper in CZW. One of the men who we've had the opportunity to work with before in regards to his promotion, Sammy Callahan, has stated as much, that John Dahmer is one of the gatekeepers, or was one of the gatekeepers for CZW.
So you're looking at a match with a gatekeeper of one company who also, heads the school, teaming with the trainer of somebody who's one of the opposition, who happens to also be teaming with a very long-time super name of the Indies. Guess how the match turns out? Chicanery-filled everything!
I decree a great amount of shenanigans afoot in this contest.
And here's my question. Did you know Joey Ryan has a pain-proof dong? Because, my God, the entire point of the match was his dick. Pardon the pun.
We watch a lot of old-school pro wrestling Guerrilla. Is it just me, or is he stolen Human Tornado's gimmick?
No, because Human Tornado
had balls of steel.
Make his dong a focus of the entire match. It just happened to be that someone would go for a low blow and it didn't hurt, because Human Tornado had balls of steel.
Well, he is a man sponsored by YouPorn. You have to think that most of the focus is going to be around his little Joey, I guess we'll say.
Not so little Joey.
I make no assertions as to knowing the size. I do not wish to know either.
And we are not about to turn into a U-shoot. Please, people, do not ask us how big is Joey's dick. We don't know.
Can we stop saying those two words together, please?
Did you even get the reference that I just made?
Yes, I do. People on U-Shoots always asking how big Batista's is. I'm aware, yes.
Oh, no. One person. Sinbad from F4W Online. Anyway.
Move on.
Hey, we could get to the blow pop. Actually, we have to get to the blow pop.
The blow pop,
enters into the finish.
It's a little bit of sweet tooth music, courtesy of Breaux Keller, as Joey Ryan's blow pop.
Guess where he pulled it out of?
Think about that for a second. Joey Ryan's blow pop ends up in the mouth of Twisted Tate, which we should totally ask. No, I don't want to get killed. I don't think we should ask him about that.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't need to know. That can't have felt good.
You're more likely to see him than I am, so by all means, you go get murdered.
I know.
Joey Ryan's blow pop leads to a Sweet Tooth Music super kick courtesy of Breaux Keller, and Ryan gets the pinfall on Twisted Tate.
Because, yes, Joey Ryan was the legal man.
Well, it broke down into all kinds of shenanigans at the tail end of this match.
Yeah. I mean, but remember how, we kind of talked about the first match of the show kind of, how do I say, setting a precedent, but also was kind of the chicanery-filled, goofy match, to kind of rile the crowd up and everything, how we talked about that with the first match. That's pretty much what this match was, too. To kind of close out the night and send everybody home happy, and the kind of young upstart actually factors into the finish on his own teacher, and the good guys win. As goofy as the match may have been, and my God, was this a goofy match, I was actually happy with how it ended up turning out.
Oh, no, this is definitely an independent wrestling send the fans home happy kind of contest. And it's something that I don't think enough promotions get the gist of, too, is that more times than not, you want to send your fan base home happy so that way they're excited to come back to the next show. There's a reason heels usually don't stand tall at the end of the smaller independent promotion shows. Because a lot of fans, and I mean, I don't know as to the, how do I put this without sounding like a condescending a-hole? I don't know how many of the fans here are more of your traditional Mark fans or how many of these fans here are traditional Smart fans. I mean, Joey Ryan has a fan base from Smart fans, but that has a lot to do with Joey's gimmick. At the same time, though, in regards to Joey Ryan, though, Joey will bring people in the door. It's up to the people that are there on a regular basis to keep them there. And somebody like a Breaux Keller is somebody that can draw. And I had this conversation with James as well. Keller is super over with this crowd.
And I think, it kind of sets the precedent because it's something that we'll have to bring up with our guest coming up soon because of the fact of not only is Breaux Keller over with the crowd, he actually is probably the most over guy in, coming out of this tag match. And wouldn't you know it, Breaux Keller is now going into the 17th anniversary show as the heavyweight champion. Of which, in kind of foreshadowing, Twisted Tate is his opponent. So obviously we're going to have to bring that up.
This seems like as good as any of an opportunity to bring in our guest.
So as we wrap up Sleazy Christmas here, starring Joey Ryan from ACW and Rogue Women Warriors, Harry, you and I are kind of going a little bit against our own grain. I think we kind of take the Bruce Pritchard approach to podcasts, and it's kind of no guests needed. But I felt like, this seems like kind of a special episode. It's kind of a special day to the point that I didn't even realize that it was actually Mother's Day originally. And we decided what better person to talk about the show that we just finished, Sleazy Christmas, and to talk about his match, because he's got a big match coming up next weekend at ACW Atomic Championship Wrestling Sweet 17. The Twisted One, Twisted Tate, is actually joining us here on Wrestling Unwrapped. How are you tonight, Tate?
Not too bad. How you guys doing?
Doing very, very well. And like I said, it seems like, guys are growing to, onto bigger and better things now that you've got kind of the women's side of ACW starting to really pan out, and you've got a big show coming up next weekend. with, former WWE Women's Champion Jazz being one of the main guests. And like I said, you yourself, you've got a big match coming up as well, fighting for the heavyweight championship.
Not only is he fighting for the heavyweight championship, Patrick, he's actually taking on somebody he had an interaction with at the very show we just covered, too. He's got Breaux Keller, the man from the frat house, for the ACW heavyweight title.
Did you say ECW?
I said ACW. Pay attention, clean out your ears.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to talk to your play-by-play announcer, Mr. James Frazier, and he gave me kind of the scoop as to what's been going on with you guys, but I want to get it in your own words. What's the backstory between you and Mr. Keller? He informed me that it's something of a teacher-trainer situation, so why don't you go ahead and inform our audience exactly what to expect in regards to your history as well as what to expect this Saturday night?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a teacher history, thing going on. Just a young cocky guy that everybody loves, and for some reason I kind of love to beat him up. So it's been ongoing back and forth. He brought Joey Ryan into the situation and, kind of made a fool of me a little bit, and there was some penis throwing ribs going on, and, it's just escalated up to the next level. And last month he became the champion, so he took the pinfall on me, and he actually one thing I gotta give the kid, he hit the balls to accept my challenge. So I'm gonna this weekend coming up here, I'm gonna embarrass him in front of his friends and family, and everybody's there everybody who's there to enjoy the show. So he's got 20 years of aggression coming out on him this weekend.
And now not only go ahead, Harry.
I was going to say, he mentioned that Breaux got the pinfall on him in the Suicide Six-Way at their last show, Time Bomb, which was April 8th at the Stevens Fire Hall. Go ahead, Patrick.
Well, no, I was just saying, now not only are you going to have the chance to beat him up, and kind of possibly finish everything off once and for all, now you get to possibly claim the heavyweight championship. What would it mean to you to actually be able to hold the biggest belt in the company?
It's been a long time since I held that title. Being the king of the mountain, and having everything ride on your backs. It's a crazy time. Especially here, in the pro wrestling world. So, trying to draw big houses and stuff is always a fun opportunity and, a big challenge. So, as I'm winding down the end of my career, it'd be great to do it again, but to me this whole weekend is just about beating this kid up, teaching him a lesson, the vet green kid, aggression's going to come out. So, a lot of these guys think they're a lot better than what they are, and, I'm going to rough them up a little bit.
Yeah. Now, as we mentioned before, Sleazy Christmas being the night that you guys crowned the first ever Rogue Darkface champion. I should mention that properly once again. And unfortunately, though, Angie Skye wasn't actually able to hold the belt for very long and ended up being forced to vacate it. And Sally would end up being the one to pick it up and is walking into Sweet 17 with the championship. I guess what I want to ask is how come it felt like it may have taken a while, considering the fact that ACW now going into their 17th anniversary show? How come it may have taken so long for there to kind of be a women's division and a large enough division for there to be a women's championship? And it obviously can't be, a good feeling to somebody to be the first ever champion and be forced to vacate it.
Yeah, I guess I'll break this down into a couple answers for you. We ACW as a whole, we did have a women's division years ago. Chrissy Rivera was the champion for a long time. And it kind of dissolved in the area. There wasn't that many female talent in the area, and it just kind of went away on its own. It was it wasn't on purpose to get rid of the women's division or anything like that. But so that there was a women's division before, and then about 2 years ago, I decided, hey, what, this women's thing is, it's pretty cool. A lot of fans are requesting to have some female talent on the show, and so I was like, you know what, we'll give it a whirl here, and we came up with the name Rogue, just because a lot of the time, personally, I know for myself and several others, being in the industry so long, you kind of feel like, you're rogue, you're alone sometimes. So, we wanted to give that name to the company. So for all the female talent, that does feel that way, there's a great place for them to come out, and show off their talent at, or even some of the people who aren't, as frequently booked or, aren't as seen as much, So it's a great opportunity for female talent who are, not out there as much. Plus, we're mixing in, top tier, well-known female indie talent, as well. So it's a helping new people, helping underappreciated or overlooked people, and mixing it all together. When we started this in February of last year, we got great shows. The women knocked it out of the park. In my opinion, some of the women's matches totally blew the guy show away. There was a big mix. Kimberly was there, Veda was there, Solo Darling, Lufisto. It was like we had a pretty stacked thing. But most of the fans, I'm going to say 80% of the fans that talked to me personally, hated women's wrestling. They did not like it. They were going outside during the women's matches, because we started the show off with the women went first, and then the guys show went, and they were furious about it. So I had to come up and try to make a happy resolution. Where Atomic Championship Wrestling runs is a very small town. Like, many people absolutely think I'm crazy, because the building we run only has 30 houses in the whole town. And then it's like kind of desolate farmland for a while until you hit another, town. And so we decided to rotate, guy, girl, guy, girl, guy, girl. And people started to come around to it a lot. And now it's like super liked by all. I haven't had a complaint about either the guys or the women's, side of the shows in a long time. So it took some time. People are still getting used to it at the same time, trying to identify with the with the performers and stuff. So that was a little bit of a crazy experience for me, But on to I think you had it in there about the Angie Skye and the title, and then not having the title. That wasn't your question as well, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was asking how it couldn't have felt good for Angie Skye to become the first champion last December of last year, and then unfortunately be forced to vacate the championship.
Yeah. It was hard for me, because I see a lot of good things in Angie Skye. She's very talented. She's one of those talents pops up here and there, and I think she deserves a lot more than what she gets. She was the go-to, and she won the title. Had great matches the night she won the title in the tournament, and then she had some travel issues and wasn't able to make the event in March. And my policy has always been, for 17 years, if a champion doesn't make the show, they're stripped on the spot. Fans pay to see championship matches, and if you pull, even the three of us sitting here talking, if we go to a show, everybody wants to see the championship match, especially if it's built up and pushed hard, and then you pay your hard-earned money to go to a show, and there's that match is scrapped or something happens, deep down inside, sometimes, it's an understanding situation, you're cool with it, but you still have that little feeling, oh, man, I was coming to see this, Everybody likes watching the belt. Everybody likes seeing the belt. If there's build up to the matches and stuff, it's always like a big thing. So, excuse me, I had to enforce my rule, and I had to strip with the title, and we did a tournament right on a little small tournament right on the spot, and Sally came on top, and she's running with it now. She's definitely a crazy character there, and people love to hate her. So Angie Skye will be getting her rematch here soon, and well, it's not really a rematch, but she'll be getting her shot back at the title. So it's just one of those unfortunate things that had to happen, coming international, and it was really, really bad for us because the men's champion and the women's champion couldn't make the show, and they both got stripped on the spot. So, it was a rough start to 2017 for us, but we're rolling now. So.
You mentioned Sally having the Rogue Dark Phase Women's Championship, and you kind of answered part of the question that I was going to ask in regards to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways, and that is, has there ever been any serious consideration given to doing women's-only shows? Because women's-only shows have kind of exploded inside of the United States over the course of the last couple of years through products like Shimmer and Shine and Rise. Has there been any thought given to doing a full Rogue women's wrestlers show on its own, standing on its own?
There has been, but as I probably met both of you gentlemen at a Shimmer show or somewhere along the road. I know I met Pat at Shimmer, and I love Shimmer. Okay, don't get me wrong, but Shimmer only does so many shows a year. I have to do 12 shows or 10 shows a year, and I would want to have the women's shows every month. I don't like, personally, I don't care what other people do, because it's theirs, so they can do what they want with it. But I don't want to do shows like 4 women's shows a year. I want to have women on every event, and I don't think the area that we are in wouldn't be beneficial. It would be very very expensive to do an all-women show, in front of 50 to 200 people. So currently it's not going to happen. There has been some other attempts at full women's shows, within an hour or two drive of where we're at, and they did not do well. I don't know why. There was lack of promotion or what, but and we're not anywhere. We're an hour and a half outside of Philly. We're an hour south of Harrisburg, so we're kind of we're literally, our shows are literally run in Amish country. There's horse and buggies going down the street all the time, and so for what it is at the current time, I feel we're doing really well with where the product is and where it's going, because I've always been and always wanted to have a company that was there from beginning to vet. When I first broke into the business myself, there wasn't many people who wanted to give you a chance. So I like to give people a chance, and people don't get better without having that ring experience, or having matches. So it's a great place to be able to kind of hone your skills and try to and prove yourself. And it's also a great place for the vets, to continue their career. And there's also high-end matches, So it's just a giant mixture of wrestling, all different kinds of aspects of it. As you guys seen by watching the DVD, there's all kinds of experience levels. There's all kinds of popularity of indie wrestlers around. I just like to make a giant mix. But I will tell you this. I'm currently looking for a building to turn into a full-time arena that will be open for our wrestling school. Go into there. There'll be a weekly show. There'll be a monthly big show, and possible, music venue here in the future too. But trying to find the right place that you can do all kinds of stuff with, is a little bit of a challenge. It was it's actually more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be, especially for like personal expectations of what an arena that's built for wrestling must look like for me. So I have pretty much all the equipment, stacked up in storage at my home. So it's just down to finding the right venue that we can just call home and have it set up for wrestling all the time, and do everything out of one building. So that is our goal. So once that happens, there might be a chance of doing an all women's show. But I know a lot of women's wrestling fans travel, and if you want to travel to a show, let's say you gentlemen are you guys both in Chicago area?
I'm actually a lot closer to you than he is. I'm in the northeast part of Ohio, and I actually have family out in your general area out there. I have family that lives in Dover, Pennsylvania. So coming out there for a show,
an hour from me.
Coming out there for a show wouldn't be that difficult for me because I would be able to stay overnight with my family.
Yeah. So for you, it would be good. With that, if he had to fly here to the show, he would have to Uber an hour and 15 minutes in a car, in an Uber. So it's not really efficient for fans, for the diehard wrestling fan who travels to a show, especially those who fly. Because I've been taking notice a lot lately. A lot of women's wrestling fans will fly themselves to the city. And,
trust me, I know.
Yeah, it's not an efficient area for women's wrestling fans to come flying themselves into, so that would hurt me as well. So, there's just a lot of little key aspects, that are all in play. So, as soon as I can get it all figured out, and there'll be a lot more coming. I'm currently in the midst of working on 17 years worth of footage, which is absolutely crazy, So there's a lot going on. It's just so time consuming for two people to do most of it all. But there definitely is good things coming. I actually just recently dug out a lot of the old DVDs that I had extra copies of and stuff, and I'm started to take them along to shows and let people be able to buy them again, because for many years they weren't available. I have the last few matches of Trent Acid. He worked for me all the time. And I was actually just talking to a guy last night at CCW, or actually Rob Feinstein, and he had no clue that there was a Trent Acid versus Ricky Morton match because it happened at my show. And I have so much good stuff. I have a lot of early Adam Cole stuff. Not so many people knew Christy Rivera wrestled till recently, but she wrestled for years. So there's all kinds of stuff. Early DJ Hyde stuff, Dozio, Black Cheese. It just keeps going on and on and on. So hopefully that'll be out there and available soon for everybody to check out online and download or figure something out with that.
You and I think you and I are going to have to talk in July if we happen to see each other.
I'll be there. I will be there, and so will the discs.
My turn, Kesha. Slow your roll. All right. So we kind of talked about the desire to do an all-women's show here. Now let's specifically talk about the championship itself. As Patrick mentioned, we just covered the crowning of the first champion with Angie Skye winning the tournament here at Sleazy Christmas. We talked about the fact that she missed the first show you guys had, the March show of 2017, which led to her being stripped of the title, and then Sally winning the freeway to win the title. Or the February show. My mistake. That
was in March.
Saturday. What's March? Okay. This Saturday, she defends against kind of a prelude to her Angie Skye getting her return opportunity, as it's Angie Skye's former tag team partner in the Sherbrooke connection, Pink Flash Kira. Anything you can tell us about that match scheduled for this Saturday night?
I'm actually expecting big things out of that match. The two know each other well. They're both coming from Canada. I'm sure they've met many times up there before. So just looking to bring it to the States here, and so everybody down here can see what the two girls got, and bring their feud down here to Pennsylvania. So I personally can't wait to see it.
And then also it actually bears mentioning the fact that Angie Skye has her own match, maybe kind of trying to get herself back into title contention, facing Stephanie Sinclair. Is that kind of how it's being looked at, of Angie Skye trying to get back into kind of title contention and kind of earn some victories before getting her title shot?
Yeah, she's got to, she basically just start all over. So she's, starting the ball and back on up. So, Angie Skye's very talented. So I'm sure she'll be getting her chance to win her title back here soon. My opinion is hard work pays off. So she's got hard work to do.
And then I think one other thing that kind of sorry, hang on, Harry. I think one other thing that also bears mentioning, because we haven't really talked about that, is the seminar that's actually being done with former WWE Women's Champion Jazz as part of, is it the same day, I believe?
Yeah, it is. It's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the seminar with Jazz.
And how did that end up coming about? And then, you have the seminar with her, and then she'll face the Wounded Owl, Lufisto, at Sweet 17. But, I mean, that's got to be a heck of an opportunity for a lot of people to learn from someone who's been to the big show like that.
Oh, yeah, totally. Usually every month when, we bring somebody in who was on TV or, relatively, super huge in the indies, I always have a seminar with them, so people can get to learn different styles and different things. And the seminar is actually pretty packed for this weekend, which is great. Who wouldn't want to? If you're a women's wrestler, who wouldn't want to learn from Jazz? And it also kind of, to me, if you're relatively in the area or within an hour or two drive, and you don't want to invest in yourself, I don't know. I don't know what people think sometimes, but, I'll personally be there, watching the seminar myself. So I'm expecting big things from it, several hours long. So, anybody who's listening, come out and check out Jazz and do the Jazz seminar.
All right, so I noticed something of a CZW influence in regards to some of the talent that you've mentioned that have made their way through the company over the years. You mentioned names like Adam Cole, like the Black Jesus Sabian. CZW fans will know Robbie Marino, who's on this show under his new name Robbie Illuminati, challenging for the Cruiserweight title. There are also two other names that CZW fans will know on this show, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on working with these guys. The first of which being the Rockin' Rebel.
The Rockin' Rebel, he's been on every ACW show to ever happen. He was my old traveling buddy when I broke into the wrestling, and he's also just a very talented guy. He's funny. People love him. People hate him. He's I can't say enough good things about him.
And the other person that I kind of wanted to ask you about, and this kind of ties into the show that we just covered, that would be one half of the tag team champions, John Dahmer.
John, it's actually funny you bring him up because I thought he was going to be the next one. He is absolutely the most, in my opinion, is or was, whatever people want to say, for the last, he's been with us since like 2007, 2008. By far the most underestimated, underused, most talented wrestler I've ever been in the ring with. The guy, I have had matches with him that went 45 minutes to an hour, and they were absolute classics. He actually is somebody who I would 100% honestly admit brings out the best of me personally in the ring. The guy, he's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if people want to learn and watch and learn how to do things right, John Dahmer's the guy. I mean, he was also the head trainer at the Combat Zone Wrestling School for many years. He's the guy who trained Adam Cole. I'm pretty sure he trained the Gulags. I mean, it just goes on and on. He trained Wife Beater, Nick Gage, all them guys. Those were all his students. So, I mean, Plus, there's so many more. I mean, I'm drawing a blank right now. Sozio or Niles Young, whatever you want to call him. Noel Harlow was there. Pretty sure he trained Christy Rivera. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of talent that he trained. So, by far, I mean, he's one of the best talent out there. You know, if you guys see him live, because he's quite the character. Quite the character.
All right, Patrick.
All right, so before we wrap this up, I do kind of want to ask one kind of goofy question towards you, and it's not even so much about ACW, but it's more about the building where you guys run, because you mentioned, it's kind of in the middle of Amish country, but you guys run in a fire station, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Has there ever been a call during a show?
Not during the show. There has been some after everything's been set up, which wasn't a big issue because the fire company loves having us there. Fire companies and wrestling shows are really big here in Pennsylvania. A lot of the companies, a lot of the local indie companies run at fire halls. Ours personally, actually, the show is actually in the fire engine bay. So they actually remove their fire trucks and they're parked outside. So the only thing that, if a fire call would happen while a show was going, the firefighters just have to grab their gear and they're out a side door. So it wouldn't really be a giant issue. It has happened during setup before. And that was a little crazy, especially because it was a bad fire. One thing that has happened though is I don't know what they're called out there, but they call it Lifeline or Lifeline here in Pennsylvania, which is the helicopter to transport to bad when something super bad happens to somebody, they get flown out and the helicopter landing is beside the building, and the helicopter here from Hershey Medical Center is a jet-propelled helicopter, and it is loud, and it shakes the building. It's absolutely insanely crazy. That has happened during the show before, but no one really knew what was going on, with the noise and how loud it is and stuff. So
I'm almost curious as to how that would have come off on DVD.
Can't even take notice of it.
Just consider me a wrestling oddity over here.
All right. I mean, Harry, do you have any final questions?
You mentioned the fact that ACW has been running for 17 years. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the people that have supported the company over the course of the time that you guys have been running?
Oh yeah, definitely. We super appreciate our fans, here. I would say the fans know it. I take time out of every day to personally interact with our month-to-month fans that I know most of them by name and by face. They know how much they're appreciated. There's a die-hard Atomic Championship Wrestling fan base. That's every show they're here. So and those who don't know, thank you so much for the support for so long. They're always taking a chance because we're always doing something crazy or stupid. So it's always a big risk for them and our myself. So financially on both ends, being in small towns with few jobs, it's great to know that people come out and support and want to watch us of all things, having fun doing what we love to do. So we totally appreciate them.
And before we let you go, anything you want to say to Breaux Keller before you get a chance to beat him up and possibly take his heavyweight championship on Saturday?
Just that he's got a beating coming Saturday. You guys will have to check it out. So sooner or later, hopefully we'll have everything up online the next day so people can check it out, or within a day or two. But he's got a severe beating coming this weekend. I'm gonna beat him up right in front of his mom and dad, so should be a fun time.
Happy Mother's Day indeed.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Keller.
All right.
I guess you could say the Underground in full effect.
Oh, most definitely. So he's got the Joey Ryan beating coming to him, too. So he's getting 2 beatings in one night.
All right. Well, Twisted Tate, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking actually a little more time than I think any of us actually thought. I was hoping for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. We've been going almost a half hour now. So I want to thank you so much for your time.
Just let me know. We can do an hour or 2 hour one if you guys want to run through the beginning to end sometime. We'll gladly do it. I haven't done many of these. I've never been really into doing them. So, when me and you talked about it, I was just like, yeah, you know what, why not? I know this guy, so, have fun, why not? I like to talk, so as everybody giggles in the car with me, I'm a big talker, I admit it, so.
So once again, like Patrick said, thank you for the time, man. Greatly appreciate it. Again,
anytime,
go
guys.
Go ahead and give one last shout-out for the show for our fans that are listening, where they can find you online as well as where they can find you personally.
You can find me on Facebook under Twisted Tate or Tate Hammer. Twitter is HW Pro Wrestling. The website's AtomicProWrestling.com. There's RogueWomenWarriors.com. You can find us there. Track us down. There's an Atomic Championship Wrestling like page. There's a Rogue Women Warriors like page. Just check us out. Give us some likes on there. Have a good time with us. Check out our product. Check out our videos, T-shirts, all that stuff. It's all there for sale. Everything's ready to go.
And again, this Saturday night, May the 20th, ACW Atomic Championship Wrestling presents Sweet 17, the 17th anniversary show to benefit the Stevens Fire Hall Company firefighters. It'll be at the Stevens Fire Hall Company, 91 Stevens Road, Stevens, Pennsylvania, 17578.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Twisted Tate.
All right. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. You guys enjoy the rest of your show.
Thank you. We will.
Yep.
And enjoy yours. I would say it's time for the big finish.
Well, first of all, before we do our big finish, I want to say thank you once again to Twisted Tate Hammer for joining us tonight there. And if you get the chance to, if you happen to be in the area, once again, it is Sweet 17 Atomic Championship Wrestling 17th Anniversary Show this Saturday, May the 20th. If you're listening to us right as the show goes up, it'll be 6 days from today.
If you
listen, I corrected myself, jackass. If you're listening to us after the air date, by all means, AtomicProWrestling.com. I'm sure they'll have the DVD up for sale soon. Your main event, something of an independent women's wrestling dream match, and if I'm not mistaken, a first-time occurrence. Jazz and Lufisto.
Which is amazing if you think about it, considering how long their careers have both been.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. You want to think that this would be a first-time meeting, but I'm almost certain it is.
Only other place I could possibly think of is Shine.
And the only matches I remember for Jazz and Shine are against Rain and Mercedes.
You're forgetting the first one, the one we've covered.
Oh, yeah, Del Rey, too, of course. But enough about matches we've covered and promotions that aren't the one we're covering right now. Yeah, I'd say it's time for the big finish, Patrick.
Indeed, as we always do, the best and the worst match, and the cash, and the trash. All right, we always kick things off with the best match and the worst match. All right, why don't we just get this one out of the way? What is your worst match of the show?
I have to look back through the card here because there are a couple contenders for this one. You know what? Just because the finish bothered me so much, I'm going to go with the tag title match. And the reason I'm going to go with the tag title match is, yes, I understand that Dahmer would end up working in the main event a little bit later on in the show. But if that's going to be the case, then why have this match in the first place? It's heel versus heel, which means the fans are inclined not to care anyway. The wrestlers know that the fans are inclined not to care, so they don't even decide to wrestle. And then just as importantly as well, once it comes down to it, both teams decide to take a walk and end up with a double count-out finish. I don't like making your belts look like they're not important. And I've said this many times before on this show, and I'll say it again. Championships are supposed to mean something, and especially in independent wrestling. Therefore, this bothers me more than it probably should. I'm going to go with the tag team title match. Patrick, what's your worst match on the evening?
I'm going through the card myself. 13 matches is a lot to try and remember. Only because it kind of stands out for a little bit of pointlessness, other than let's get one of the more popular wrestlers on. I understand that he's been there for pretty much every show. As a matter of fact, I think Twisted Tate actually said he has been there for every show. The three-way of with Rockin' Rebel, Bobby Kruger, and Judas Gray. I understand, having a match and trying to make sure that, someone that the fans are paying to see is on there. But as you mentioned, Judas Gray no longer being part of the Rebel Army, right? Yeah. Doesn't really come into play, aside from the fact that he doesn't eat the finish. But just the whole match was just rebel, and you never really thought that he was ever going to lose, and lo and behold, he didn't lose. I'm not going to mention the leg drop.
Brother.
You did, not me. Anyway, so I understand, I totally understand you not liking the tag title match. I totally understand that. But when you have 13 matches on a card, have Rebel cut a promo or something else. Not a pretty pointless match.
Once again, you answer your own question as to why Rebel has a match on this show. Been there since the start of the company, and as we found out watching the show itself, he's one of the most over guys there. So I have no issues with Rebel having a short. Not to mention they kept it short, too. So, more power to him for that. All right, let's flip the script here, Patrick. What's your best match on the evening?
Well, maybe the kind of match that it was is an acquired taste. I didn't mind the taste of it. Although the person who took the super cake probably didn't like the taste of that blow pop. I'm going with the main event. God, I can't believe I just made that connection. Anyway.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you drown on your own with that one.
Yeah, shut up. You know what? It was one of the things of what's the main thing you want the fans to do at a show? Besides not act like jerks.
React to the matches.
More specifically, I was looking for have fun, but yes. Or actually, more generally, I was looking for have fun. But yeah, react to the matches and everything. And this was a fun match. No, it was not a, Dave Meltzer 5-star professional wrestling 46-minute 6-star classic.
Oh, really? Are we going to start with them? Are we going to start with them again?
But the fans had fun. The good guys win. And the young upstart hotshot looks good. Like we said, Breaux Keller is now the heavyweight champion. So, it was obviously onwards and upwards for him from here on out. So I'm quite happy with it. So for me, I'm actually going to say the main event, which is rare for me. I almost never say a main event. How about you, Harry? What is your best match?
Okay, 215 or 225, my ass. But I'm going to go with the Cruiserweight 4-Way. It was, in my opinion, it was one of the few matches on this show that was action, start to finish, action. And at the same time, everything that happened made sense there. And you got the added bonus of the new champion turning heel after the match by planting the guy that the crowd was cheering for over him during the course of the match. So, you get some really good wrestling involved in the cruiserweight match. I mean, granted, 8 minutes short for a title match, but again, 13 matches kind of a necessary evil. But not only do you get the action of the match itself, you get the storytelling in the post-match as well that I really enjoyed. So, my favorite match, and in my opinion, the best match on this show was the cruiserweight match. So I'm going to go with the 4-way.
Alrighty, very well. Alright, so cash and trash time. We started with the negative, so why don't we start with the positive here? What's your cash for this show?
My cash and my trash are the same thing.
Oh, boy.
Would you like an explanation?
I had a hunch I knew what your trash was going to be, but carry on. Go ahead.
My cash and my trash is commentary. I almost went with the overbooking of the show because, let's be honest, 13 matches is a lot of freaking matches. But my cash and my trash is going to be commentary. I'm going to give my cash to James Buster Frazier, the play-by-play announcer, who did a fantastic job introducing new fans, such as myself, to the ACW product.
Hey, me too.
Huh?
Me too. I'm a relatively new fan.
Regardless, you know what I mean. He introduces you to the people there. He explains why they're important. He tells you what the things you need to look out for. He does everything that a good play-by-play announcer should do. He gets you to care about the wrestlers you're watching. That is the most important job a play-by-play announcer can have. My trash is his colleague, Ryan Miller. Why? Just why? Of all the people that are on this show here, there are several notorious talkers. Rebel would have been excellent on color commentary. John Dahmer would have been excellent on color commentary. I'd be interested to see what a guy like CM Sereni could have done on color commentary. Our guest that we just had, Tate Hammer, a longtime veteran who would know the company better than anybody since he's, the owner. Talk to the young upstart, Breaux Keller, about how big his match is upcoming there and have him put over his match a little bit more there. Do not give us this nothingness that Brian Miller provides. I get that he was happy to be there, and I get that he probably hasn't done this a whole lot. But at the same time, when your play-by-play announcer is at a certain level, your color commentator needs to be at that level as well. And quite frankly, Ryan Miller wasn't. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, Patrick, what's your cash first, and then we'll do trash.
Trying to think of how to word it. Like, I know what it is. I'm trying to think of how to word it. And actually, I guess I'm going to have to put it on commentary. But a specific part of that, and that was the fact that the commentary did help me to indeed understand new people. I don't know how this could have worked out so well with the fact that I go in, relatively blind. I do have some ACW shows. I have them through Lufisto because I see her at Shimmer, and I see her at a show here and there. Harry, shut up. Yes, I'm a fan of hers and somewhat of a friend of her. Shut up. So, but I'm still a relatively new fan to ACW. So to hear the commentary actually helped me to understand, who I'm looking at, to know Breaux Keller being the young hotshot upstart that the fans really like, and damn do the fans like him. I wasn't too familiar with Nyla Rose. I wasn't too familiar with Sally. It was funny hearing their reaction to Rebel, and having them help me to understand the things that I need to understand, I thought was great. Now, yes, his partner for commentary wasn't the world's greatest, but not worthy of a trash for me. However, my trash is something that we kind of mentioned. It's kind of the same issue we had with Spring Stampede.
Overbooking?
Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. Our issue with Spring Stampede was no clean finishes. This one actually had clean finishes, but this one still had 13 matches.
Oh, no, my issue with Spring Stampede was overbooking.
You could make that argument here. Just not to Spring Stampede's unbounding level. Because in this case, thank God they went the route they did with the title tournament. I'm talking about Rogue, or ACW Rogue, however you want to put it. Because of the fact that, you mentioned it earlier, that left the potential for 2 more matches, making this a 15-match card, which is crazy. So I'm actually happy that, I don't want to say common sense got the better of them, but they thought twice about it and said, you know what, why don't we just make it a fatal 4-way final? So I was happy with that. But then you also do kind of have a little bit of overbooking to get us to the main event so that Dahmer doesn't have to do too much work in the tag title match, and then they decide to just leave the tag title match. And then one of the other feature matches, which is now one of the main events for next Saturday, ends in a disqualification, but you understand why when that leads to the main event. So
I'm not... can I jump in here real quick? I'm not as upset about the Tate Hammer Breaux Keller match, and specifically the reason for that being is that you knew that this was just a plot device to get you to the main event, whereas the tag team title match is for a championship belt in the company, and that's why it bothered me as much as it did.
Fair enough. It's kind of sad that the tag titles were essentially a plot device to get us to the main event. Sorry, but yeah. And then you also have the fact of one champion is stripped because of failure to appear. So, there's a lot of moving elements here. And that's probably my biggest issue here is the fact that there's so many elements here. Like I said, it was a 13-match card, and this was 2 hours and 45 minutes of largely just in-ring, intros and in-ring, and promos if need be. And that was still 2:45. So I would not be surprised if we were talking about a 4-hour show.
Real quick, too, let me give credit to the ring announcer. He is a man I am very familiar with, Carolina Jim. I am a huge fan of Shikara. We've discussed this promotion many times. Paul, I'm sure, will know who Carolina Jim is as well. It was good to hear his voice again. It had been far too long. I'm glad to see that he's still doing this because he is a voice made for professional wrestling.
Just and that's an actual positive, unlike people telling me I have the face for radio.
You have a face for radio and a voice for silent movies.
My mom thinks I'm cute.
Pretty sure that's an old Bobby Heenan line, actually. Anyway.
Yours?
Yeah, the face for radio and a voice for silent movies. I'm almost certain that's an old Bobby Heenan line.
Yeah. Alrighty. One final thing. Harry, what is your final score? With our guest and with everything we've talked about, what is your final score?
Quit trying to butter me up to give this a better rating.
I'm not at all. You know why?
Bull crap.
I am not being held responsible for what you say. It's what you say.
After the first 2 matches on this show, I sent Patrick a text, and this is the honest-to-God truth. I sent Patrick a text that said, I am really regretting our decision. Putting the women's match in retrospective as far as the rest of the tournament, as well as seeing what Nyla was able to do in the main events now, it gave me some perspective as to what she's capable of. So I'm not as upset about the first match as I was. The opening contest, it was what it was. I didn't like it mostly because of what it was. The fact that it had 2 guys brawling around ringside for the opening contest sets a bad precedent for the rest of the show that the rest of the show, frankly, does not live up to in regards to people brawling all around the building, and nor would I want it to. The rest of the show becomes more of your traditional independent wrestling show. At times, it is very good. The Cruiserweight match is really good. Sally and Jules Malone is really good. Me and Patrick talked about that match ad nauseum a little bit earlier on. We both agreed it was the best of the 4 qualifiers. The 4-way for the women's title I thought was very good, and unlike Patrick, I actually like what they did with Lufisto and Nyla taking each other out of the match in order to give us a viable finish between Sally and Angie Skye. Unfortunate what happened with Angie in the title, but chalk that up to one of those situations where stuff happens. The good overall outweighs the bad on this show, Patrick, and I did not think I was going to say that when I originally started watching. My final score for ACW Sleazy Christmas is a 5.5. You feel better now, Patrick?
Yes.
You were expecting like Spring Stampede level disaster rating, weren't you?
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. After the first couple of contests, it was heading that way. I mean, the opener upset me. The shortness of the second match upset me. The finish to the third match upset me. And then Sally and Jules Malone came on, and I felt better about myself.
All righty.
Patrick, what's your score for this show?
10 out of 10, greatest show ever. Good night, everybody. All right. I agree with you on your thoughts and opinions. The good does outweigh the bad. And I think for a handful of the matches, decent to good match, bad finish. See Tri-State Championship match. Not a terrible match, bad finish.
Disagree. Did not care for it, but carry on.
Not a terrible match, bad finish.
It was pretty rough.
Anyway. I would say, as our guest mentioned earlier, I would say the women outperformed the men on this show.
100%.
The women had 5 matches. Yeah, the women had 5 matches. The guys had 8. And on the overall, I would put all 5 of the women, 4 of the 5 women's matches, probably all in the upper half if we were to go match by match. And rank each match.
We're going to eventually, at some point, we still have to do a star review for this show.
In about 4 years, when we catch up. Anyway, the good does definitely outweigh the bad, and I also once again agree with you. But that's where I came up with the thought of just like going to a concert with a band. Get the newer stuff out first, and the younger stuff and the fresher stuff out first. Bigger hits later. This card got a hell of a lot better. Disc 2 craps on Disc 1, for the most part. So, but at the same time, that's good. I don't think you really want to start high and go down. You want to start meh and go up, or start good and go up. In this case, it started meh and went up. Would you agree?
Yes.
Maybe not leaps and bounds up, but up. And I think everything does end up averaging out. So, it was great to see Angie Skye win the belt. Sad that it couldn't have been longer. It was great to see Breaux Keller look so good coming out of this. Like we said, he now goes into their 17th anniversary show as the champion. Sally looks good even in defeat. She's now the Rogue Dark Phase Women's Champion. So for the most part, the things you want to look good, look good. So I would say good outweighs the bad, and I would go with a 6. Because to me, 5 is still 50-50, or 4.5 to 5.5 to me is still 50-50. 6 is good outweighs the bad, or at least starts to. So I'm going to go with a 6.
I'll put it this way. I was expecting a certain level of disaster going into this, especially after the way that we started. It got a lot better than, honestly, I probably expected it to once we picked up around the Sally and Jules Malone match. And I'm going to say it once again. Sally entertains me, and the fact that I may have something of a crush on Jules Malone notwithstanding.
Oh, really? So yours is notwithstanding, but mine is.
Yes, absolutely.
You.
I am completely allowed to give you crap about Lufisto, 100%.
The hell you are. Carry on.
Tonight's episode of Wrestling Unwrapped has been brought to you by the Madhouse Toy Chest. Stores.ebay.com/Madhouse Toy Chest. If you are a fan of anything wrestling, DVDs, action figures, VHS tapes, magazines, posters, you can find that and so much more inside of the Madhouse Toy Chest. Mention that you heard this advertisement here on Wrestling Unwrapped and received a free gift with your purchase. That is stores.ebay.com/Madhouse Toy Chest. In addition, we want to say about a special thank you to our guest tonight, Twisted Tate Hammer. You can find him on Facebook at Twisted Tate. You can find the website for the company that we just covered, Atomic Championship Wrestling, at atomicprowrestling.com. Their show this Saturday, Sweet 17, the 17th anniversary show, headlined by Twisted Tate versus Breaux Keller for the heavyweight title, and Jazz versus Lufisto will be available on DVD if you're listening sometime after the show.
And as always, for more information on Wrestling Unwrapped, Wrestling to the Max, and basically everything a part of the W2M Network, much like us, brought to you in participation with the W2M Network, be sure to check out W2Mnet.com. I don't know when we'll be back.
I think it's going to depend on what does and doesn't happen for Backlash next Sunday.
I will say this. Harry knows my schedule for next weekend, for the most part. I am putting a bigger focus on going to TakeOver rather than Backlash. I may be able to do Backlash. I'm not 100% certain. If I'm not there for Backlash, we'll be back at our normal start time 2 weeks from tonight. Hopefully, finally, covering Wrestling Revolver's second ever show, I will go with Lucha. By the way, how did that end up happening that we're going to do Iowa Goes Lucha on the greatest racing day of the year?
We're going to Iowa instead of Indiana.
So basically, I'm going east instead of west. Or no, I'm going west instead of east. Son of a...
Wait a minute. Time out here.
You're going west either way.
No, I'm aware of that. Wait, time out. I thought next Sunday was Memorial Day.
No, 2 weeks. Next Sunday's Backlash.
I always thought Memorial Day was in May.
It is. It's the last Monday in May.
I'm so confused. All right, sure. I'm Harry Broadhurst.
Last, not fourth.
28th. Duh. 29th is Memorial Day. I'm special. All right, let's get out of here, Patrick.
I may die next weekend. I'm Patrick Ketsa.
If he dies, I'll find somebody else to carry on the show. I'm Harry Broadhurst. This has been Wrestling Unwrapped presents Atomic Championship Wrestling's Sleazy Christmas 2016. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next week. Well, I will, for Backlash.
Shut it down!
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.